Whether you love it or hate it, and a lot of people certainly hate it, you have to admit that the Tesla Cybertruck is an impressive accomplishment, just the fact that it exists. There's so many rules and kind of best practices in the automotive industry where most car companies would be like, no, you can't do that. But Tesla's like, well, we did, right? This is a vehicle designed by somebody who peaked in high school geometry and wants everybody to know that they understand how triangles work. Today we are driving the Tesla CyberTruck Cyberbeast. The Cyberbeast is the tri-motor one. 845 horsepower, and Tesla says 10,296 pound-feet of torque, but don't worry, that's wheel torque. There's a little bit of mathematic trickery that gets you that. 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, but that's with the rollout. But regardless, a 6,800-pound truck that does 60 in under 3 seconds is quite impressive. Top speed of 130 miles an hour. It can tow 11,000 pounds. Range for the Cyberbeast is 320 miles. It has a 123 kilowatt-hour battery pack. For comparison's sake, the GMC Hummer truck has a 200-something kilowatt-hour battery pack, and the Rivian Max Pack is 149 kilowatt-hour. You can get a range extender, which adds like a 50 kilowatt-hour battery pack to the bed. With that, the Cyberbeast is supposed to do 440 miles of range. In terms of exterior styling, the design of the Cybertruck has obviously been covered across the entire internet, but there are some interesting things I want to talk about. So the Cybertruck has no Tesla logos or branding on it whatsoever, no shared design cues with any other Teslas, but it is instantly recognizable. People just know it is a Tesla Cybertruck because, I mean, just look at it. And also, some people say the novelty is going to wear off, the stainless steel finish, the shape, whatever. I don't think so, because that to me implies other vehicles to start looking like this. I cannot imagine Tesla would update the Model 3 to resemble this type of look. Rivian is not going to change their design direction to start making trucks look like this. This will always be a novelty, will always stand out. It is just absolutely ridiculous. If you park this next to a Lamborghini Aventador, I am fairly certain that most people will be taking pictures of the Cybertruck, not only because it's new, just because it's just so ridiculously wild looking. And I also have another fun, interesting story, an interesting perspective on the looks of the Cybertruck. I had a colleague at my previous job, director of engineering, brilliant guy, really accomplished, had worked in motorsports, Formula One, he'd driven a McLaren F1 on the racetrack before, and we were talking about the Cybertruck when it first came out, and the styling. He goes, I actually kind of like it. And I was like, are you sure? Do you have eyes? And he goes, no. When the Lamborghini Countach first came out, it was also very controversial. It was different. People didn't really like it. Now look at how the Countach is viewed these days. So he had that kind of similar opinion to the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck is so different, it's unique, it's daring. And while I get that perspective, I don't think it's going to be a good looking vehicle at any point, but you can absolutely agree that it is a head turner. It just is wild that they made a vehicle that looks like this. Let's take a quick tour of the Cybertruck because there are some pretty awesome details. So we have a front trunk up here. There's a button in the middle. You press that, open it up. It's not very deep. We have the Cybertruck logo right there. We have a little hexagonal windshield washer fluid reservoir. And up here is just stainless steel exposed underneath. You can press this button here. That closes your front trunk, so you can store things up front on the Cybertruck. We actually have the headlights down below, the big light bar up front, and this really cool wrap. It's like old military aircraft inspired on here. The details are actually really, really impressive. It definitely adds to the character of this Cybertruck. Unplugged performance, Salamandran Cyberbeast. We have aftermarket wheels and tires. They're stock size, but much more aggressive offset. And everything is just hexagonal here. The fenders, the world's most ridiculously large windshield wiper there, the triangular side view mirrors, a lot of cameras too. Got a camera hidden there. This button here opens the door, pops out a little bit, and then you can open it up. See, more stainless interior tour in a moment. And just some of these details, the texture, this is a really nice printed wrap. And even it follows the body line here. So this was installed really well, and it's just a really, really cool wrap. We're in off-road ride height mode, so a lot of suspension travel. And yeah, it's just all angles. Back here we have the release for the tailgate. that opens up. There's a little hidden storage underneath here too. You can store things. Seeing the outlets too. So we have regular outlets and a higher voltage one. We can go ahead and close this, just manually lift it up. And then you have the tonneau cover, which we can open and close right here. That's powered. You can hold like 300 pounds or something. You can literally stand on there. There is the lighting bars on the side. I'm gonna go ahead and close that tonneau cover. Helps with aerodynamics, and when it's closed, you don't have any rear visibility, which is why when we're inside, we'll show you the mirror. I'm gonna open this again and show you guys. The lighting down in here. You can see my reflection. Hi. And then this is like where the tail light bar and brake lights are. Pretty cool. We have another camera here and a much larger Cyberbeast logo out back, usually just a tiny little one in the corner. So I wanted to make it a little more obvious with the wrap, which is pretty cool. This bumper, again, just very angular. This is actually plastic, so that's not metal on this here. It's just such a ridiculous looking thing. A lot of cool details. The charging door is over here on the driver's side on the fender. Press that, opens up. Triangle Cybertruck spaceship looking thing. Does it just close like that? Oh, there we go. That closes. All right. Back doors hinge 90 degrees, which is actually pretty cool. Opens all the way wide there. You can fold the seats up for storage. My backpack is just in there. Let's check out the interior. Cybertruck door sill plate. Typical Tesla minimalism. We have the panoramic roof there. The weird steering wheel. You can drag this around for air vent directions. Go ahead and close the door. A lot of really random angles. The white interior, the black suede. There's no screen in front of you. Everything is in the main central screen. Very familiar if you've been in Teslas, but they changed the font, which is pretty cool. And you can obviously control things like opening the frunk. So that's opening up right there. Nice graphics, actually. Tonneau requires calibration. Interesting. You can calibrate the tonneau, open the tailgate. That opened up. Ride height. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it to entry exit. And of course, there's no CarPlay or Android Auto, so you have like built-in Spotify and apps like that. So Tesla system, the main screen in the middle. This steering wheel, it's not the yoke, they completed it. It's a full squished circle hexagon thing. Also, no turn signal stalks or anything. Turn signals are buttons here on the steering wheel. Everything is just controlled through here. No Tesla logo, we just have that Cybertruck outline again. Charging pads, hexagonal cup holders, tons of storage down here below. And yeah, it's super minimalistic interior. We are now in the entry exit like ride height. So this is all the way down. Wow, this is actually quite a bit lower. We have a slammed ride height Tesla Cybertruck. With that, let's hop inside and go for a drive. All right, time to take the Cyberbeast for a drive. So to put this into drive, on the side of the touchscreen here, you can swipe up and down. If you swipe back, that goes into reverse, so literally going backwards pulls up all the cameras. If you swipe all the way up, that's drive, and then if you tap, it puts it in the park. But there's actually like a secret hidden park reverse neutral drive up here by the hazards above this totally useless little vestigial rear view mirror. You can use them up there too. There's drive, and we can go. We're starting off in comfort mode for the different drive modes. Turn signals are on the steering wheel, which takes a little bit of getting used to. Driven other vehicles that have buttons / toggles on the steering wheel, like Lamborghini Huracan has a little switch, Ferraris have buttons, but they didn't want to put any stalks here behind this steering wheel / it's not the yoke, it's actually a full completed shape, but it's more like a squashed hexagon than anything else. And that brings us to the weirdest, one of the most unique parts of driving the Cybertruck, and it's the steer-by-wire system, which brings essentially a dynamic steering ratio. Again, that's not new, but this is the most extreme implementation. Like I believe like the Audi R8 had a variable steering ratio in effort and things like that, but for this, it was to make it much more maneuverable, and they just exaggerated to the maximum level. So at lower speeds, you don't put in much steering input whatsoever to make turns, and it's absolutely ridiculously weird. I was definitely really thrown off the first couple of parking maneuvers, leaving a driveway, making a right turn. It's bizarre. Something I heard some people say was just don't think about it, right? Just naturally just try to drive it, and your body kind of figures it out on its own. On the freeway, it slows down the ratio, so it feels pretty normal at higher speeds. You wouldn't want a super quick ratio at high speeds because then you'd be darting all over the place. But at low speeds, it makes it actually quite maneuverable. You pair that with the rear wheel steering. The rear wheels can turn up to 10 degrees, which matches the Hummer EV Supertruck with the rear wheel steering. And what is the point of rear wheel steering? Well, at low speeds, you can turn the rear wheels out of phase, so opposite of the front wheels, and that allows you to virtually shorten the wheelbase, which is really helpful on larger vehicles, trucks, vehicles with long wheelbases. It makes them much more easy to maneuver in parking lots, flipping U-turns. And then at higher speeds, you can turn the rear wheels in phase with the front wheels, and that virtually lengthens it, gives it more stability. So rear wheel steering is really cool, especially applied to something like the Cybertruck, but they just took it to the absolute max. And the steer-by-wire is bizarre. It's definitely one of the coolest things, and it takes a bit to get used to. But like, for example, I was leaving a red light, taking a left, and I turned way too much, and it was way too sharp of a turn. I had to correct it, and it'll just take more time to get used to it. But it's a really cool innovation. Am I nervous that like there's no connection between the steering wheel and the actual wheels up front? A little bit, but there's a lot of redundancies built in. If you think, there's a lot of other applications, right? Like think about airplanes, right? They don't have physical connections a lot of times. It's the way technology is going. I'm still not used to the turn signal buttons. I keep having to look down and be like, which one's the right one, which one's the left one? Let's go into beast mode. Oh! 845 horsepower. Let's see if we can find some clear space and launch this thing. So this is no longer on stock tires and wheels, right? You see the aftermarket kind of more all-terrain ones, which definitely probably hamper grip a little bit, but as the Cyberbeast, you get over 800 horsepower, 60 in under 3 seconds, and it pulls pretty strongly for something of this size. We have adjustable air suspension. So the ride height can change. You have 12 inches of suspension travel, and they say 16 inches of ground clearance when you're extract mode, right? So it rises all the way up. We're currently in beast mode, which drops it to lowered ride height, and you can go even lower to get in entry exit. We've got some open road, nobody behind us. Ah, shoot, somebody behind us. Never mind. We'll do it again later. Well, full self-driving and autopilot are not available on the Cybertruck yet. And if I paid $100,000 for one of these, I'd be a little bit annoyed because you can get those on a Model 3 and a Model S. Again, supposedly for an over update, they'll be added later on. All right, let's launch it. We're in beast mode. See this cool animation. Preparing for launch. Suspension is entering cheetah stance. Ready to launch. Cool. With the different tires, I'm pretty sure we've compromised a little bit of the grip. It definitely is quick. I don't think it does 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds anymore, but something of this size is still pretty hilarious. 800 something horsepower. I feel like the Hummer EV Watts to Freedom was more dramatic simply because of the way the suspension squats, though on paper and I guess tarmac, this is supposed to be faster than the Hummer EV. The Hummer EV also weighs substantially more. This is 6,800 pounds curb weight, right around there. The Hummer is like 10,000 pounds. In terms of pricing, the Cyberbeast is the most expensive version of the Cybertruck with a price of just under $100,000, $99,990. The dual motor all-wheel drive is just under $80,000, and the theoretical rear-wheel drive one is supposed to start in this right above $60,000. Interesting thing, on the Tesla website, when they default list the price, it's a little bit lower because they say with a probable $3,600 savings in fuel, and then they say it likely will be available for the federal tax credit. So I don't think it's available quite yet. And obviously, since these things first came out and kind of people went crazy over them, the actual market price is a bit ridiculous. But look at that, that's so weird. Like making a sharp turn to get on the freeway was not, I put too much steering input in. And it does keep pulling. Oh my goodness. That was, it masked the speed pretty well actually. But I mean, Tesla says it has acoustic laminated glass. There's actually quite a bit of wind noise. I'm hearing a bunch of random little noises too. They say it's as quiet as outer space, which, okay. They do say it has armored glass, which can withstand baseballs at 70 miles an hour in case you're driving somewhere and have a stray baseball flying at you at 70 miles an hour, or class 4 hail. I didn't even realize hail had different class levels, and what is class 4 hail? I probably don't want to get hit by class 4 hail no matter what, and if it's hailing that hard, I will probably go find refuge somewhere, shelter. So the price point of the Cybertruck is very interesting because what does this compete with? You could say the Hummer EV and the Rivian R1T simply because they're also electric trucks, and in my opinion, you could sort of think about them because they're all a bit over the top in their own way. Ford F-150 Lightning, whatever the Ram one is, the Chevy Silverado EV, they're going to try to be much more mainstream, conventional feeling, but the Hummer has sheer size and wants the freedom and the off-road capability going for it, where it's just over the top in that direction. The Rivian is really well-rounded. I actually like the R1T quite a lot, and that's much more overland, a lot of cool innovations there. The Cybertruck, again, doesn't really directly compete. It's just its own thing. It's just this wild science experiment that's just somehow come to life and become an actual vehicle that you can buy. I have to respect it that they actually built something that does it this way. Does it feel like a completed vehicle? No, there's still a lot of stuff missing. We've seen stuff on the build quality, how atrocious some of the fitment can be. This one seems to be okay, and obviously it's being customized by the owner, Alejandro. We'll be doing an ownership perspective video with him, but this was a cool first experience driving the Tesla Cyberbeast. We're driving by where Teslas get delivered. It looks like there's a bunch of Cybertrucks up front. They are really popping up in Southern California. I've seen probably a dozen. A lot of people are actually wrapping them different colors. This one, the wrap is definitely quite unique. Okay, I wasn't gonna hit anybody, calm down. And if you hit anybody, you'll probably be fine and they won't be. People were freaking out about that early on, right? Like, oh my gosh, what about the pedestrians? If you get hit by a Raptor R, you're not gonna walk away either, right? Don't worry about that. These things are all gonna squish people. So is it worth $100,000? I actually have to say yes, if you can get one at $100,000, because it's so ridiculously wild over the top, to get something that will stand out as much, be so different in the world of the automotive experience, you have to spend quite a lot more money. And I'm honestly just kind of shocked that it came through and they actually made it this way. For the longest time, I was convinced this was a publicity stunt. They'd build maybe like 100 that look like this, and they'd roll out something much more conventional looking, right? Imagine Model X, Model S styling on like a Rivian R1T type of thing, and it'd be like, this is the actual Tesla electric pickup truck. But they went through with it and built a stainless steel refrigerator triangle-shaped ridiculousness. And there we go. First experience driving the Tesla Cybertruck Cyberbeast. Thanks again to Salamandra and Alejandro, or Max Powers as he likes to be called these days, for giving me an opportunity to try this out. We're going to do an interview with him, talking about what it's like to own. Make sure you check out his channel. He's got a lot of content on this. Thanks for watching.